Hey everyone, it's your pal Drew Dracy, and I'm back with more Sal Buscema inking action. Specifically, Sal Buscema being inked by other inkers, and I've found even more that I wasn't even aware of when I was just going through my search, and I pretty much did it from memory. I didn't look up stuff on Wikipedia or whatever fan page because I just have that demented Marvel memory that's it's just a weird thing. I know what books Sal did up until this point, but I didn't know specifically who inked them or. Anyway, let's go. Bill Manilow's story, Sal Buscema. Bill Manilow did all 75 issues of Rom plus 4 Rom annuals, and Sal did the first 56 issues, and then Steve Ditko took over. This is Mel Candino, and I don't really know the name from any other source. I do remember these issues when it came out, but since I got the omnibuses, I said, I sold the rest on eBay. Mel Candino, he does a real nice job on the armor. It's not as precise and crisp and designy as Aiken and Garvey were in previous issues, but he does a great job because he could do the shiny, but he could also do the organic. Like folds and clothes and stuff like that. So that contrast is always great. And when I have the occasion to do that kind of contrast, I do it. So see, that's very Brian Garvey and Ian Aiken right there. Really cool stuff. And then you got the regular people. It puts me in mind of Gary Talek. I wonder if Mel Candino is one of the many artists from the Philippines that came along in the late 70s or so. So beautiful stuff. Really, he did the 6 issues that Sal did the last 6 issues, and then, however, issue 53, we get a little surprise from Bill Sienkiewicz, who painted the cover. Let's see why exactly. Now that's Bill Sienkiewicz, 100%. Tell by the tiny little dashed lines. Really, really creepy looking stuff. And the dire wraiths have come to town. But you go to the inside pages, there's Mel Candino. We're back with him. And there's more shade on these characters because they're dark purple, whereas they're wearing yellow suits, even though I thought S.H.I.E.L.D. always wore blue. Doesn't matter. So what happened was in issue 50, I'd mentioned this on one of my episodes, where the whole town of Clairton, who had embraced Rom, their Clairton, West Virginia, sleepy little town, well, they all got wiped out with issue 50. So now it's becoming public that the dire wraiths are upping the ante as far as taking over the country and the world. So before TV and everybody is Nick Fury and Rom and Starshine. Not quite yet, I jumped the gun on that. However, we see Reagan, who was the president at the time, and I think Sienkiewicz was brought in specifically because he could do likenesses really well. And that's pretty gruesome there. Yeah, that's very, very similar to his style now. And real creepy, those dire wraiths. It's basically Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And the design, by the way, of these creatures was by Walt Simonson, who brought them on with issue 47 or so. And let me see what else. And I'd mentioned this guy, Gary Talek, who did a lot of issues of the Hulk. So, a couple anchors out of the way. Oh, by the way, this is a Ditko cover, inked by P. Craig Russell. And that little scamp, P. Craig Russell stuck a Spider-Man face in there because Ditko did not want to do any Spider-Man, and but I guess he couldn't help himself. Okay, more goodness about Sal. He was such a great. I can't get over how people don't appreciate how much of a how a heavy he was, an 800-pound gorilla. Is that the term? Because he would come into books like this. Look how thin this is. It's only 8 issues of Skull the Slayer, which continue later on, 2 issues of Marvel 2 and 1. Well, Skull the Slayer came along. At the time, around 74 or so, the Bermuda Triangle was a big deal. That was this supposed mysterious area where planes were disappearing in the clouds. So, because Marvel had to produce so much stuff and flood the newsstands to compete with DC, they just came up with stuff like this. Okay, Bermuda Triangle, and then we'll have present-day humans back in the days of dinosaurs, co-created by Marv Wolfman, and he even colored it. And his wife at the time, maybe they're still married, Michelle Wolfman did some coloring. Steve Gann, he is a Filipino artist, and he does a lot of black and white magazine work. And Pablo Marcos is lettering, which is interesting because he's an inker from the Philippines, a pencil and inker. This style is so great by Steve Gann. It puts me in mind of old. There was this like sort of soap opera newspaper strip called Mary Perkins, and there were other ones that had that kind of style that was just so ornate. Boy, that's beautiful stuff. Steve Gann, pencils and inks. Steve Gann also did the very first Star-Lord issue, which I have in one of my episodes also. So, really amazing art. It just had the misfortune of coming out when it did because there was so much competing with it. So then, all of a sudden, with issue, I'm keeping this suspense, but not really. All of a sudden, Steve Gann's inked by himself and Pablo Marcos. 3 issues. That's spectacular. There we go. There we go. Right into Sal and Mike Esposito. Real quick fill-in, guys. The story's still going on, except Steve Englehart's the author, too. I had this episode of Why Did Skull the Slayer Fail? If you could find it below, where just enter Skull with the little magnifying glass. So, it changes. But later on, Steve Gann returns. Oh, no. My fault. Sonny Trinidad. I am so full of shit today. Sonny Trinidad, another guy from the Philippines, is inking Sal. And again, Sal's like stepping in the middle of all this stuff going on. And a lot of it is the Marvel way, where you get described stuff and you might get photocopies of the previous issue. And Sal could just take it and go. And so did Bill Mantlo. And he also... The thing with Bill Mantlo is he could keep the voices of the characters that the previous writer established. So, this is really nice stuff. Really, really sweet. But it's Sal underneath. He's keeping it going. And the book doesn't suffer because of it. It's still very good, but it just had too much musical chairs. Okay, there we go. That's what I was talking about before. Sal Buscema and the co-creator Steve Gann is working on issue 6. Okay. There, zooming in. Really interesting combination. But I don't think Steve Gann was associated with any one strip from there on. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Sal Buscema and Sonny Trinidad again. Look at that. Look at this. Well, that's great. Those pyramids are just amazing. So, there goes Steve Gann, and let's get to something fun. Well, it's all fun anyway. I hope you're having fun. Luke Cage, Power Man. Good stuff. 1,000 creators within 50 issues. So, the regular artist on this book at the time. Okay, this is Rich Buckler, Arvell Jones, and Keith Pollard. Now, Arvell Jones and Keith Pollard, they started as assistants to Rich Buckler, just like George Perez did. So there was like I think they were out in Detroit, or maybe confusing it with Jim Starlin and his crew of Tom Orzechowski and Steve Englehart. But here we go. Great Buckler cover and Dan Adkins. The Krusty Bunkers. Who are the Krusty Bunkers? Well, I wrote them down because they're all legends. Dick Giordano, Dave Cochran, Bob McLeod, Terry Austin, Larry Hama, Pat Broderick, Carl Potts, Al Milgram, and Bob Layton, Sal Amendola, Alan Kupperberg. They all, one time or another, worked with Neil Adams at his continuity studio, and they would jam on certain issues. Like when it said the Krusty Bunkers, that was Continuity Studios just trying to get the book out. And they did a couple issues of Frank Bruner's Doctor Strange back when he was doing with Steve Englehart, and it would always turn out great. And it's just interesting. I would give anything if they made like a video of their jam sessions working on books. So, and what's neat is, I would wager that Neil Adams would oversee these pages and do a little bit of touch up here and here and here, just to make sure it all looks consistent. Beautiful 3-panel side image while all this is going on. Power Man's trying to stop this bomb from going off. But I can't really tell who inked what. But it's strong. That is a Bob McLeod face, though, I would wager. That's very, very three-dimensional. And Cockroach had his sweet shotgun ripped up, and he was just upset. Cockroach is one of those great characters. That Luke Cage had all these really cool streetwise bad guys that were much more interesting than the average bad guys. They were street level, but they had a gimmick. What If Classic? Okay, Dave Simons. The late Dave Simons. He inked. I know him most from doing the last year of Ghost Rider, which is coming out in Marvel Masterworks form this November. It'll be the last year of it. And he did a ton of stuff on What If and just odds and ends here and there. Very underrated. He started off in the fan press. You'd see some of the stuff he penciled in ink. There's a Bill Sienkiewicz cover, pretty cool. This is Sal Buscema, our pal Sal, with Dave Simons on the inks. And anything Dave Simons touches just has a real nice, I don't know what you would call it. It's not like anybody else, but it's strong. He has his own, let me see, focus now. He has his own style, and it's bold. And it's uniquely his own. I think he was looking at some Joe Rubenstein there for the chainmail. He does such great expressions, too. There you go. There's the payoff page. That is beautiful. It's the Cap and Bucky of the 50s. Somebody thawed them out before Steve Englehart storyline happened. And the real Cap comes back with Spider-Man and some freedom fighters. So, drink it in. That's beautiful. Dave Simons over beautiful Sal Buscema. I'm jumping ahead. So, yet another inker. We're going to jump to, we've seen this before, haven't we, this book? We have Don Heck. Now, I wasn't keen on this, because as a finisher, I could see Don Heck, oddly enough, I had actually asked who was it? Who was it? The guy, Brian Hitch, when he was doing Ultimates and he was doing the rendering real feathery, real thin, it put me in mind of Don Heck a little bit. I even asked him one time on Facebook, and he goes, "Yeah, I think that was sort of a, without realizing, I think that was kind of a similar inspiration." There's Karen Mantlo on letters. So, husbands and wives, they all got together. It was a really interesting. I think the closest thing to come to it was cross-gen. So this is just okay. It's like Sal's, just getting it out and telling a good story, and Don's stuff is just not bold enough. It's a mismatch, but it's okay. On pulp paper, though, it's really a lot of stuff dropped off. So, see, it's kind of flat there. It's not strengthening Sal's faces, because when Sal gets into gotta meet a deadline mode, his faces become very samey, and sometimes you gotta tweak him a little bit. So, I like when Don Heck was inked by Pablo Marcos. I thought it looked really incredible. So now we're going to go to, I love Ghost Rider, even if the writing was doofy sometimes. Oh, classic, very classic Bronze Age magic. That shows to you. He had issue 9. That was December. Great issue, my very first. December. And then not January, but February, a bi-monthly book. And it's a reprint. It's a friggin' reprint. That's a Sal cover. I don't know. It looks kind of like Jack Abel at the time, inking that. So then you go to there. 2 months later, April. It's like they went 4 months without a friggin' Ghost Rider issue. And that was the Bronze Age for you. It was just very messy. They were short on people because they had so many comics being pumped out. Now this is a real surprise here. The inks by John Tartaglione, or John Tartag, as a lot of times they trimmed his name for space reasons, and George Roussos, which is interesting because George Roussos, he inked a lot of shitty comics in the 60s. He did the Thing Hulk fight over FF, what was it, 2526, and if it wasn't for the power of Jack Kirby's drawing and layouts, it would have really suffered under George Roussos's sloppy pen, real quick. And he was a production guy, and he was also mostly a colorist. He became a colorist in the 70s. So it's not really providing a lot of meat to Sal's work. And again, like I said, Sal could be dependent on the inker, on the story. Like that's definitely George Roussos, like with a real heavy lines, and then combined with little tiny flittery lines that break off, especially most likely when it was newsprint. So real dissatisfying there. That reminds me of the Thing Hulk fight. But book had to get out eventually. Not next month, not 2 months, but 4 months later. So I don't know exactly what John Tartaglio inked. If I see this, I just see Roussos bang into that. So, but like that's woo-wee. It's kind of the eyes there kind of need a little more depth on it. So I know I'm so perfect. I'd love to make Sal one day, but he's retired. And he's given us a lot of enjoyment. Now, first I gotta show you the George Perez Terry Austin cover. Oh man, heaven. The only interiors that I know they did was X-Men Annual 3, which is really great stuff. Now we got Alfredo Alcala and Sam Greger. Sam Greger has been around since the late 60s. And Alfredo Alcala, he was one of the many um, Filipino artists that came over. And he could pencil and ink. And the way you can really tell his stuff is, again with the folds in the clothes. And then he doesn't always fill his blacks in all the way, which is kind of neat. I know Joe Sinnott does that too. Like he'll leave a little. Describe it. Oh, there we go. Beautiful spread. Look at Sal really making that work. I mean that's just really glorious stuff. So the first 5 pages are Alfredo Alcala. And this is the stuff I'm talking about right here, where he doesn't fill it in all the way. There's like little chunks of light coming out of the shadows. It totally works. Really great stuff. And that, I think, got... I don't know if that issue is still... It's weird. I think John Tartaglione inked that, or John Romita inked it. So... And... Tartaglione's a nice bold inker. Dig it, dig it. I got a surprise for you that you won't expect. That's why it's called a surprise, dumbass. Listen to me. Oh, it's a surprise that you won't see. Okay. Roger Stern and Paul Smith. Oh, Roger Stern's still doing it. Well, he passes the book of Doctor Strange off to Peter Gillis after this. But we got Mark Badger doing the finishes, and it's great stuff. Oh my gosh. And Mark Badger is one of those guys who has his own unique style. He's not copying anybody's stuff. I recommend the Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange graphic novel, Triumph and Torment. It's penciled by Mike Mignola, early Mike Mignola, and it's inked, finished by this guy, Mark Badger. His name just slipped my mind for a minute. And he just has he has a little bit like Sienkiewicz, but he has a lot of his own stuff going on. So, Franklin's like, get the frig out of here, Mephisto. Don't make me do that again. Although he did that in FF number, one of the John Byrne issues. So I love that stuff. Look at that. Sal's providing some great layouts, but Mark Badger is really making this a beautiful, beautiful issue. And he does little wispy lines here and there when they're called for. And he has like a scribbly kind of shading, which is great. Get away! And go to Chris Warner, who's a great... Oh, Mark Badger's doing breakdowns of Chris Warner finishes, but that's some more great Sal Buscema stuff. And let me see what else. Put this here for a second. I have a special treat for you. Rampaging Hulk. I did an episode on this magazine, short-lived. Great stuff. Backup story by is Bloodstone, a character who appeared twice in Marvel Feature or Presents or something like that. And then they stuck him in the back here. It's the Sal Buscema filling in because he wasn't the regular artist on it. But it's inked by Rudy Nebrez, who's just a fantastic finisher. He did a lot of work years later for Neil Adams Continuity Studios, did a lot of continuity comics, and I just love his stuff. He's another Filipino guy. Let's hear it for the Filipinos. These guys are friggin' amazing. Well, here comes Iron Man, my main man Iron Man. My favorite character. And because it's comics, Marvel comics, they have to slug it out. And man, I'm so jealous because back then, you could do gray wash as well. Just dip your ink in a little bit of black and a lot of water, and then build on it and create this gray wash effect. Look how orderly some of those lines are on Shellhead's helmet, and they're gray. No need for color. I never want to see this colored. Wow. That's a little something extra that Nebrez put in there. I bought a print from Nebrez years ago, but I've I have it. It's missing somewhere from the move down to Florida and then back to Georgia, sadly. So this character here, he came back from, he was in Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. #2. I love that design. Yeah, you see all the stuff on the back there. That's Rudy going to town. Dig me some Rudy. God, black and white stuff so spiffy. Everybody's so spiffy. I love that outfit from Bloodstones too. Of Bloodstones, I meant to say. But look at that. They took a Sal Buscema comic and made it a really cool, black and white. What is this? Oh, don't fake it. Okay. Linda McCartney on keyboards. I know it's not. Just being a smartass. So, I have this magazine. I'll have to show it sometime. Actually, I did. It was a Jim Starlin book inked by Tony DiZuniga that was really nifty. Now, to wrap up, I have a little game I like to play. There's really no stakes. There's nothing to be gained or lost. But as I was growing up, as a young inker wannabe, I started spotting the good inkers from the bad, because coloring back then was for coloring. There was no, like this wasn't even, this was barely attainable with Doc Martin dyes. Beautiful George Perez pencils and inks. And I'm sure you've seen these because this has been reprinted so many times, and then they make this the front and the other to the back over and over and over again ad infinitum. It came out in 1990. The printing is shit though. It's no better than the monthly books, but however, there's a couple Sal issues that help the book out, sort of with George Perez, and then David Wenzel did like the last 5 issues, the most crucial ones. But you could see how the color and the black areas on the figures and everything are it's off register. So now this, I would guess, I don't know who did this one, I'll be honest, but I can prove I do better. Okay, this has to be I would say a Joe Rubinstein page. But look at the color, like right there in the middle panel with Iron Man's helmet there, how the red's kind of bleeding off. Now this is Pablo Marcos, I would wager. Because Pablo's always had like that real gritty, or he always had that like intense look to him. This, I believe, is also Joe Rubinstein. It's printed a lot better. And this is, in my mind, no doubt, Pablo Marcos. And also because sometimes his faces were hard. Yeah, that's Pablo Marcos right there. So I used to play that game in my head. I was not really playing the game. I was just kind of like, oh, okay. There's a lot of times the credits will be, diverse hands, or D hands, or M hands, which stood for many hands. And there's so many other examples I'd like to show, but I think I'm wearing this bit thin. This is Rubinstein right here, I believe. And this might be, I don't know. Well, this is no doubt Klaus Janson. Klaus Janson again. Look how bad the reproduction is, though. So, anyway, that's it. That's my Sal Buscema feature. And 3 out of 3. I could probably do a 4th one, but, I just have to, I'd have to really pick through a lot of, I think I've capped off the heavy hitters and the ones that were surprising, like Crusty Bunkers. So, there you got it, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what you think. Who's your favorite Sal Buscema inker, if not Sal himself? Tell me when you first noticed what an inker could do. Um, and that's about it. And if I was an inker for a lot of years. I do commissions. I do commissions over established artists. I've done some over Gene Colan, George Tuska, Herb Trimpe, and more modern ones as well. And I do pencils and inks of my own for commissions. You can contact me at drewgeracycomics@gmail.com. Let me think. Oh, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around for 3 episodes. And leave any comments you want. Tell me, who sucked, who was great, who you wish did this. And I don't delete any comments. I love to hear from everybody because it's an interactive channel. I feel like I really enjoy, even if somebody completely disagrees with me, it's their opinion. We're all fans. We love comics. That's what we're here for. That's why God put us on this earth, is to love comics. Just a lot of people don't know it, but we know. We know. We have our secret little code. So please hit like and subscribe. Whoops. I don't know if I get my finger down here. But please hit like and subscribe please, even if you have, double check and then click the bell for notifications, because there's been a lot of big channels that are getting notifications. They're not getting notifications because of YouTube's algorithm is evil. So that's it, everybody, and thanks for spending time with me. Take care, everyone. Bye.